Hello everyone, welcome to this video. This is part 2 of drivers that need to prove themselves in 2019. If you haven't seen part 1, I suggest you watch it before seeing this video. In part 1, I talked about 5 drivers who will have a crucial upcoming season in 2019. Their reputation or even career is at stake. But I left number 1 for this video, and this time, no tricks, I'll actually reveal. So, number 1 on my list, the driver that has everything to prove in 2019 is Valtteri Bottas. Valtteri Bottas has had a disappointing 2018 season to say the least, winning a grand total of 0 races despite being in a Mercedes, arguably the best car on the grid. You can defend him all you want, but nothing justifies Bottas not winning even a single race. Sure, he's had a lot of bad luck, and he's had to sacrifice wins for his teammate, but a lot of the time, he's just been off the pace. The last time a Mercedes driver failed to win a race for the entire season was 43-year-old Michael Schumacher back in 2012. Bottas started off the season well, scoring 3 second-place finishes in the first 5 races. He would have won in Azerbaijan if he didn't get a punctured tire with only 3 laps to go. After more instances of bad luck in France and Austria, Bottas had a slight dip in form and was usually off the pace relative to his teammate Lewis Hamilton. Bottas has had a lot of past success at the Russian Grand Prix because it's one of his better tracks. He proved this by taking pole position ahead of his teammate. Valtteri's race was just as impressive, with him retaining the lead until lap 26, where most of you probably know what happened. Mercedes decided that his teammate Lewis Hamilton should win the race, even though he had a 43-point lead in the championship over Sebastian Vettel. Bottas was ordered to let Hamilton by and had to settle for second place. And yeah, unsurprisingly, the guy was pissed. You could see it in his body language and the look on his face. I actually like to call that look the F1 driver's sulk face. You see it from many drivers, usually when they're robbed of the win. Bottas was mentally destroyed after the Russian Grand Prix. Before that race, he was already pretty far off Hamilton, but after, he was absolutely nowhere. He only had 1 podium in the last 5 races after Russia and dropped to 5th in the championship. It's common for F1 drivers to have a drop in form, but if Bottas doesn't improve his performances, he will most likely lose his seat to Mercedes protege Esteban Ocon. Despite the best efforts of Toto Wolff and Mercedes, they were unable to find Ocon a seat for the 2019 season, so instead they made him the Mercedes reserve driver. This puts him in an excellent position to be in Bottas' seat for the 2020 season, because it will be simply outrageous for a driver as talented as Ocon is to be out of F1 for 2 years. You could argue that it's better to have Bottas being Hamilton's wingman because it's really hard to manage 2 evenly matched drivers. Most people probably know what happens when Hamilton has a competitive teammate. However, Bottas will be increasingly less compliant and more unsatisfied with his role as a number 2 driver. Bottas wants to race for himself, not for another driver. Putting Ocon in that seat may cause some initial instability, but it's certainly the best move in the long term. He is their future star driver and will be fighting for wins and championships long after Hamilton retires. Losing a talented driver like Ocon to another team would be a huge blow for Mercedes. How likely is it that Bottas can keep his Mercedes seat beyond the 2019 season? It all depends on how he does this year. I don't think he has to win the championship to keep his seat, but I do think he has to put up a good fight for it or finish in a clear 3rd position in the Drivers' Championship. If he wins a few races and is consistently on the podium, then I see no reason for Bottas to be replaced. But if he underperforms, then he is out for sure. In my opinion, another driver should be in that Mercedes seat. Don't get me wrong, Bottas is a good driver, but he's not a great one. On his day, he can match up with the likes of Hamilton and Vettel, but that day comes very rarely, certainly not frequently enough to challenge for a championship. People don't rate Nico Rosberg as highly as Lewis Hamilton, but at least Rosberg was way more competitive against him and was able to consistently challenge him. Valtteri Bottas would do a really good job at a solid midfield team like Renault or Force India. However, after 2 years at a top team, going back to an average midfield team would be a huge step backwards. The fact that he's no longer in a position to challenge for wins and podiums would hurt him mentally. Imagine winning the lottery, then all your money is stolen and you have to go back to living normally again. 2019 is the year that will truly make or break Valtteri Bottas' F1 career. How well this season goes may determine how well the rest of his career will go. Unless your name is Daniel Kvyat, second chances don't exist in F1, and Valtteri must perform well, otherwise it may be the last year with a competitive car in its whole career. Thanks for making it to the end of this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Please subscribe to my channel, Kids Love F1. I would really appreciate the support. Thanks to everyone that made a prediction after part 1 of this series. Most of you guys actually guessed right. All the stuff I say in my videos are all my opinion, so if you disagree, that's totally fine. Be sure to share your thoughts with me in the comments section below. I would really like to know what you think. As always, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Bye.